Okay guys, we're building our first fire in the fireplace here in the candy corn cabin. We're taking our bundles of fat pine lighters that we sell on our Etsy store, and we're going to be using them to start it with. What we usually do is just break them in half. It's we want something to get a pretty quick fire going with. It seems to be one of the faster ways here in the Deep South. We don't put any paper or anything like that in our fireplaces. We'll lay that up there. Then I'll come back. Got some little pieces of wood we've been using here on the cabin. Little scrap pieces of pine left over. I'll lay them up there, and I'll take some of this dry wood. Let's make sure our damper's open before we do anything. Happen to see that. I'll throw us a few pieces of dry wood up on here. You don't want to, your first fire in a newly put together fireplace like this, you don't want to build a hot fire. You want to just build a little small fire, give all the metal time to expand and contract and seat good and all that. This will be our first fire in this fireplace since we put it back together. We don't know how it's going to draw. We had a negative pressure at our other house when we built the fireplace over there. They had to put so many feet of pipe on top of this pipe in order to get it to where it would even draw, because it kept smoking back in the house. But once we got beyond the negative pressure of high enough, then we were okay. So we want to try this over here and see what we're going to end up with. You see the fat pine lighter, how fast it ignites. There's no need for any paper or anything like that. This stuff is amazing. We're going to just kind of give it a minute here to see how it's going to do. Put some little small pieces here so we can kind of go ahead and get it going. It'll take a few minutes, I'm sure. I just want to see how it draws. I want to make sure before we close this thing in the cabin, I want to go ahead and build several small fires in it so that we'll know if there's an issue with it before we get it closed in. You always want to do that when you have one of these fireplaces put in. I think that'll be sufficient to let it sit and burn for a little while. I'm going to kind of go outside and see how the smoke's rising out of the top of the chimney to make sure the draw is good. I don't see any trying to build it back out into the house.
That's pretty cool.
It'll take it a minute to get going, but once it does, we just want to try to make sure we get the pipe heated up enough to get all the metal seated together.
I know one thing this chair's cold.
I know that. Yeah, that metal chair is probably cold on the tush. Yeah.
We gotta find some different chairs.
Yeah. We just want a small fire to heat that pipe up. Give it time, you'll hear it cracking and popping. And
I can't wait for this horse. I think that's gonna be pretty cool.
the hearth is the next. I'll go ahead and build that probably next.
Is it here or here?
The hearth will probably come to, I'll probably bring it up right about here.
Yeah. So that way you'll be sitting here right after.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll probably bring it on up to there. Okay guys, we've got our first fire going here. It's been going about 20 minutes now. We're doing a small fire. That's what you should do when you first put a new fireplace in. We've heard the pipe kind of snapping and popping in a few places up there, and that's kind of what you want. You want the metal to expand and everything to get seated good, and then we'll cool it back off. We'll do this probably 4 times before we actually build a real good hot fire in it. And right now, everything seems to be working fine. We've got a good draw. Over at our house, I mentioned we had a negative pressure. That's one thing when you buy a place, it has a fireplace or a wood heater, you want to make sure you check. We never thought about that whenever we put ours in the beginning. As a matter of fact, it was this fireplace. We built our first fire in it, and the smoke came right back out in the house. And the company that put it in immediately put the fire out. And he told me, he said, I don't know what's wrong. And he went back up, he checked the pipe, he checked everything, and he called his boss, and his boss told him that it's possible that we have a negative pressure here. And basically what that means is, where we live at, we live on one of the highest hills in well, it is the highest hill in southern Mississippi. And we live on the back side of that hill. And what happens is in the wintertime, when the north wind is blowing and it comes over that hill and goes down, we're on the lower side over here. As it comes down, it creates a downdraft, which is a negative pressure, much like an airplane wing when the ailerons are down. That's how you get your lift to come off the ground. That wind would come over that hill and it was pushing down, and the smoke could not go up the chimney. It was keeping it shoved down the chimney. So what they had to do was they added in 18-inch increments until they figured out the exact height that they had to be. And luckily, it was only another 2 foot that we actually had to go to break that negative pressure. But even then, if the barometric pressure dropped, the smoke would still try to come back out the fireplace on the inside of the house because we were so close to the negative pressure breaking point. So just keep that in mind when you're putting in a fireplace, a wood heater, or something like that, because it was new to us. We didn't know anything about it, and had the fireplace company not have experienced it before, then we probably would not have known what to do. But it was fixable, and now that we're over here at the cabin is actually higher than our house is, so we don't have the negative pressure issue here that we have over at the house. It looks like it's all going to work out pretty good, and we're not going to have to worry too much about it. I'm going to kind of keep a little bit of wood going in here. I want to make sure that I get that pipe as good and warm as I can without getting it too hot. Let it kind of expand, and then when it gets cold, it'll seep back. So thought we'd just share with y'all our first little fire in our candy corn cabin fireplace here. Once again, thank you guys for coming along with us on this journey. It's always exciting for us to move into the next phase of things here at Deep South Homestead. So thank you guys from Deep South Homestead. Still just as cold as it can be, so it's good to go.